Ukraine says Russian forces carried out 567 attacks over the last 24 hours.
Biggest Russian drone and missile attack of the war. Ukraine says Moscow fired 550 drones and 11 missiles overnight.
To Russia launching a massive aerial assault against Ukraine, the biggest since the invasion more than 3 years ago.
Rescue workers say one person died and 26 were injured.
What happens when the world's most advanced air defense system, the S-400, is wiped out in just 15 minutes? This wasn't a glitch, a rumor, or a minor skirmish. It was a precise, calculated takedown by Ukraine that Russia never saw coming. But how do you bring down a fortress of radar, missiles, and interceptors so quickly? And what does this reveal about the future of warfare itself? Stay with us, because the way Ukraine dismantled this billion-dollar giant changes the rules of modern combat forever.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said before he'll consider peace talks, Russia must meet one condition.
Stop shelling us, stop killing civilians.
It wants to continue to brutalize the Ukrainian people, wants to continue to shell their cities and towns.
In the last 12 months, Russia has killed tens of thousands of Ukrainian men, women, and children.
Uprooted more than 13 million people from their homes, bombed more than 700 hospitals, and yet the spirit of the Ukrainians remains unbroken. If anything, it's stronger than ever.
Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now back to the video. The S-400 isn't just a set of missiles on launchers lined up in a field. It's an entire layered defense network designed to guard the political and military heart of Russia. Long-range radars scan the skies hundreds of kilometers out. Multiple interceptor classes sit ready to rise against aircraft, drones, or incoming missiles. On paper, it creates such a dense protective bubble that even the most advanced Western stealth aircraft would struggle to break in without heavy losses. This is the system Russia stationed to guard its capitals, its nuclear assets, and later, its military positions in the war against Ukraine. Its reputation alone shaped the calculations of every pilot flying near its range. And yet, in one night, Ukraine turned this billion-dollar shield into smoldering wreckage faster than most people take a coffee break. For years, military analysts believed that attacking an S-400 battery directly was almost suicidal. The radars can track dozens of targets at once.
Ukraine and Russia are exchanging fire on multiple fronts. Bridges are being destroyed, cities are burning, and oil depots are under attack.
All right, in other news, Russia has conducted fresh strikes on Ukraine's Zaporizhia region. Ukraine says Russian forces carried out 567 attacks over the last 24 hours.
At least 7 people were injured in a missile strike, while 2 others were hospitalized, and 23 private homes, 12 apartment buildings, and a post office suffered damage.
Following aircraft and drones across the horizon, the missiles are built to hit with immense precision, even at maximum range, often striking at hypersonic speeds. Any force trying to approach should have been spotted long before it reached firing distance. That fear of instant retaliation is exactly why the system was marketed as untouchable. But Ukrainians didn't try to match its strength head-on. Instead, they dug into its weaknesses, probing for that moment where a machine as large and complex as this could be blinded. The first key was electronic warfare. Ukrainian operators knew that radars are never perfect, and that by pouring enough electronic noise into the air, they could stitch together a shadow where real eyes should have been. They sent out signals that twisted and bounced across the spectrum, building a corridor that looked invisible to the operators inside the Russian-controlled trucks. Within that artificial gap, the attackers moved forward. Radars sweeping left and right found nothing but static, even as the real strike entered lethal range. To the Russian crew watching glowing screens, it was a normal pattern of background interference and phantom movements. In reality, the battlefield around them was filling with hostile firepower. Digital radio frequency memory pods added another layer of deception. Mounted on aircraft at distance, these devices recorded radar pulses and bounced them back with subtle changes, creating false echoes of entire squadrons that didn't exist. Russian computers dutifully tracked dozens of fake aircraft scattering across the sky. The S-400 operators saw targets climbing, turning, diving, and they responded as they were trained. Interceptor missiles were launched against those non-existent formations, draining supplies and locking the system into wasted engagements. Meanwhile, the drones that carried real warheads and the rockets that could actually destroy hardware slipped through that fabricated fog. The strike force was built from more than one element. Relatively cheap drones buzzed across the skyline, some carrying explosives, others only designed to draw attention. Behind them came mobile rocket artillery, firing cluster munitions into the zone. Strike aircraft launched standoff weapons into critical nodes. To the distracted Russian gunners, it looked like a scattered attack, unfocused and chaotic. In reality, it was a synchronized volley designed to hit the command module first, then the radar dishes, then the vehicles that carried the missile tubes themselves. Each attack landed in sequence, crippling the site's ability to coordinate or to see what was happening. As the Russian missile batteries swung toward empty coordinates, explosions ripped through their own backyard. The command cabin erupted in fire, its electronic control systems disintegrated in seconds. Nearby, the massive revolving radar dish, the lens that made the S-400 lethal, collapsed in flames. Deprived of eyes, the launchers that survived were left blind and confused. Operators scrambled, shouting into radios, trying to link with other batteries. But inside the jammed corridor, those calls struggled to carry through. Defenses that should have responded instantly lagged by crucial minutes, long enough for the hidden attackers to finish the destruction. When the dust cleared, more than $1 billion worth of weaponry was useless. Trucks were left blackened and twisted, missile canisters cooked off in secondary blasts. The loss wasn't just a blow to equipment, it was a revelation. A system designed to be unbreachable had been overwhelmed not by superior numbers, but by deception and integration. Ukraine had shown that in modern war, turning sensors against themselves can dismantle even the most feared defenses. And that leaves the largest question of all. If the S-400 can fall this fast, what does that mean for every other so-called invincible shield still standing? The fall of the S-400 shows that modern battles reward coordination, precision, and deception over brute strength. Ukraine didn't overwhelm the system with firepower. It confused it, turned its own sensors against it, and struck faster than defenses could adapt. This shift reveals where today's wars are heading, away from sheer numbers and toward integration of electronic warfare, drones, and precision strikes. If a billion-dollar system can collapse in 15 minutes, what other fortresses around the world may be far more fragile than they appear? Subscribe for deeper looks at the strategies rewriting tomorrow's wars.